be a sponge, and then bring the juice.
By focusing on your improvement, by focusing on your progress, and eliminating any fixed mindset that you may have and acts of perfectionism, then you encourage your own mastery.
On some level, we do what we want to do 24 hours a day. Now, sometimes it may not seem like that, but if I'm choosing to work instead of sleep, what I'm actually saying is keeping my job is more important than sleeping.
I'm tired of this. I'm tired of getting beat. What can I do to get over this hump? So mentally, that's when I kind of put that forefront, like, hey, it's either all or nothing.
I like to put failure in quotations because I don't believe that failure is true failure if you're looking at it with the right mindset.
The truth is, the journey to greatness is hard. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes focus, and every day you have to decide what you value, what you want to pursue, and what you want to achieve. And if you dig deep enough, if you push hard enough, we all have what it takes to be great. Welcome to the Edge of Greatness. Hello and welcome back to the Daily Dose. It's Friday, March 10th, and today is quote day. So let's get to it. Here's the quote for today. The only impossible journey is the one you never begin. Tony Robbins. Now, when I think about that quote, I start to wonder if perhaps there's another level or another layer to that. I agree with Tony in this instance where if you don't begin, it's impossible. But I feel like there's another layer where if you don't take a look at what the journey is going to require of you, then it's not an impossible journey. So I guess the quote's still very accurate, but you're probably not going to make the journey a success. And I want to see not just people starting the quote unquote impossible journeys. I want to see people achieving them. And to achieve them, you have to not only begin, as Tony recommends, but you have to be aware of what the journey is going to require of you, what the tests are going to be, what the challenges obstacles, the sacrifices, what you need to be prepared for. Because I see a lot of people start journeys that they have these incredible expectations, these amazing opportunities, but they only look at what could be. And they fail to address what it's going to take and what's required to make what could be a reality. The hard stuff that shows up on every journey is often the part where people turn back and stop climbing the mountain. And it's not because it's too hard to overcome, it's because they didn't expect to have to face it. And whenever you get caught off guard with a challenge, it seems bigger than it is. I mentioned the book, The Way of the Seal, the other day. I guess I'll dive back into that one because in that he recommends doing a mind gym where you run through the obstacles that you're going to face and you create a vision in your mind of what's going to happen. I do something similar. I never called it a mind gym, but I often do it with the worst possible outcomes and work back. I don't do it with seeing the success necessarily at the beginning. I guess I do see the success because I see the success of me overcoming the obstacle. But I don't look at it as here is where I'm going to be in X number of years. I look at it as on my journey, these are the things that I have to be prepared for and I have to overcome. And this is the contingencies that I'm going to have in place. And I believe that that is something that we often ignore when we jump into a situation. I mean, I've done it in the past too. When I first started my gym, I didn't think a whole lot of all the little things that could go wrong. I didn't think of all the costs. I didn't think of all of the hours. I didn't think of all of the challenges. I just said, I want to train people and I don't want to do it at a corporate gym anymore. I'm going to start my own. And it took me many years. Honestly, up until this point, I'm still figuring it out. But I get a little better each time. I get a little bit more prepared. But if I hadn't prepared myself mentally for some of the obstacles, I probably would have quit a long time ago. There have been some really low points trying to be a business owner, some really challenging points that had I not created a plan in my mind of what to do when bad things happen, what are my contingencies, there's a very high probability that I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now. Excuse me. But ultimately, I think that we need to start to consider that we need to be better planners before we start our journeys. I'm not saying don't start your journey, because I think every journey deserves to be started. It may even help to plan as you go, because a lot of people struggle with the start. And if I have you start to plan, you'll never start. So take that first step on your journey, but be prepared, right? There's going to be challenges. Start to run through scenarios in your mind. Start to prepare yourself for what's going to happen when ABC goes wrong, when XYZ goes wrong. How do you overcome that? What's your next move? And as you continue to step forward one step at a time, continue to think of other things, because as you get further in your journey, you'll start to think of new obstacles. You'll start to think of new challenges, because as you get a clearer picture of what the peak and the summit look like, you're going to start to see different options and directions and places you can go. But ultimately, do as Tony says. Take the first step. Don't wait. Just go. And remember, the only impossible journey is the one you never begin. As always, guys, keep reaching for the stars. Fall flat on your face. Remember, whenever we fall, always get up. Thank you for joining us today on the Edge of Greatness podcast. If you haven't yet, please take a minute now to subscribe and review our show. Join us again next week as we continue to dig deeper into the key components of greatness. The path to greatness is never linear, so remember to keep pursuing greatness no matter what. Keep stretching your abilities, reach for the stars, and fall flat on your face. But remember, no matter what happens, whenever we fall, always get up. Until next time, I'm Charles Schultz, and this was the Edge of Greatness podcast.